Now, we have in studio with us two guests to discuss some of the developments that have happened today in regards to the finance bill and beyond. We've seen some significant happenings today. We had the president having his address, and not too long after, we had the deputy president, the story that Kevin Mutai has just done. And in studio, I have Professor Migaya Kech, who is many things, but primarily he's a lawyer, and he's a specialist in international trade regulation and competition law, and he has quite a long CV. I think we might end up spending half this interview discussing that. And we also have Wanjiru Ngohi, who is, let me just get it right, I don't want to rebrand you, program manager at Fumbua, and she's also a lawyer. She's also a lawyer as well, and we'll see what else she can give to us. So I think just to get us on the road, Prof.
Yes.
There have been a lot of conversations tonight around, and this evening, after the president said that he's going to, throw the ball back to the members of parliament.
Yeah.
Maybe just help us understand the legal dynamics of this for it to actually still be done within the law, so that we don't end up having people saying you played us when if something was to happen that is not the desired.
It is a bit of a catch-22. This is very new territory because I don't think this has happened before. I like to be specific. So I want people to read Article 115 of the Constitution. And it is that article that governs the assent by the President on bills. And it says that once the President has received the bill, then he should act on it, assent to the bill within 14 days. Or he can refer back the bill to Parliament for reconsideration. And that is a key term that we need to remember. Not withdrawal, reconsideration.
Okay.
And when the President does that, the President should note any reservations that he has concerning the bill. So here is the dilemma. Is the President today saying, because the President is saying that he has withdrawn the bill, is the President saying that he wants the entire bill reconsidered? Because it cannot, at this stage, it cannot be withdrawn. It's pretty much enacted. And then you see if the President doesn't act on it within a certain time, and it stands enacted as law. So I've seen some interpretations like, the President can express reservation with everything in the bill, including the title of the bill, and I'm asking myself, how practical is that? But that's what I'm saying. We're in a bit of a catch-22.
And just to jump in a bit, the memo that he has sent to Parliament, and let me just read the excerpt where the meat of it is that in exercise of the powers conferred to him by the Constitution, and having reservations on the contents of the bill in its entirety, I decline to assent to the Finance Bill 2024 and refer the bill for reconsideration by the National Assembly with the recommendation for the deletion of all clauses thereof.
All right. So you see, when Parliament receives it, Parliament has two options. It can amend the bill in light of the President's reservation. So the question is, can Parliament then amend it? If the President is saying, please delete everything, can Parliament then delete everything? If Parliament deletes everything, how is that an amendment? Because to amend something presupposes that there will be something that is left, isn't it?
Yes.
But if you're amending the entire document, what is left? Does it make sense?
So is it potentially a semantics thing?
It seems to me that they're in a bit of a fix now, given that the public have rejected the bill. But it seems the word I would use is tautologous to claim that you're going to amend everything in a bill and still call it an amendment. Does it make sense?
So my question
doesn't seem to make sense to me.
My question then would be, if he has reconsidered the bill in its entirety, does it mean that they will go back to drawing another bill from zero, where they go back to the ministries and they go back to, like, now we begin
the whole process
of the
again.
bill making again, where the ministries give the recommendations and da-da-da. Is that, so does that what it means? Is that?
It cannot be, because you see, there is a process for passing bills.
Yes.
It presupposes that you've passed all of those stages. At this stage, you're amending it, taking into account the reservations of the president. You're not amending it to remove, remove everything that has gone on before in terms of the process, so all the procedures, whether it is the readings in Parliament, whether it is the process of public participation, or as Wanjiru is saying, whether it is the drafting at the National Treasury. It is difficult.
Do you genuinely think that we can make it
amend it? That we can?
Yeah, we can actually have an agreeable document in good time.
They need to listen. Sometimes I also wonder, I mean, who are the lawyers that advise these people as well?
And the Attorney General, yeah.
Because they should have anticipated all of these complications. So now we're in a very new territory. So I can see the complications. I don't see that there's a neat way out of it.
Okay.
Yes.
Wanjiru, before we take a break, maybe, did we have to get here?
Unfortunately, I think we had to get here. And before I even say anything, I think in light of everything that has happened in the aftermath of the protest, I'd like to just, give my deepest condolences to every friend, colleague, and family of everyone who's lost a loved one. The loss of lives was unnecessary, whether it was 6 people or the accurate number of people who've lost their lives. It was really unfortunate, and my deepest condolences to them. There are also people who've been abducted as a result of the protest and a result of, everything that is going on. And I'm also just holding space for people who are continuing to look for a loved one. And we continue, of course, to push that these people are returned safe, immediately, and unconditionally. Did we have to get here? I think I'd ask, there's a how dare they? How dare you flaunt your wealth when people are dying of floods? How dare you have these ridiculous amounts of salaries and money, and you're flaunting this wealth and opulence when people are struggling? We can barely afford healthcare. You have scraped off Linda Mama, for example. We do not have enough, education funding. And then you tell me that you can, in full conscience, stand up in a church and contribute 20 million within 5 minutes and think that we're not going to get mad at this. How then dare you give us a housing levy, which we have rejected because we cannot afford this thing, and continue to act as if, like we are not the ones who are in charge of this country? How dare you speak of shareholders in a government that we not only vote for, but we continuously pay taxes? If you look at your pay slip right now, you will begin to cough blood. Like, you will get so sick, because it is ridiculous. Your pay slip itself is the thing that is the most radicalizing thing. And then you come again in 2024 and you give us this finance bill and we tell you, no, this thing is unsustainable. So did we have to get here? Unfortunately, we did have to get here. And I hate that this is what we have to do, just to every generation having its own president. And there's a generation elected. We have been, the leaders have been condescending. There's a particular economist who made it his business to insult Kenyans every day. And so, did we have to get here? I think we didn't deserve to be here. We don't deserve to be out in the streets fighting for our lives and running from tear gas and things like that, but we do deserve dignity. We deserve decency. And we're not even asking for a lot. We know we can afford these things. We can afford healthcare. We can afford education. We don't need SHIF. We just need people to just fix NHIF. The problems that are with NHIF, fix that thing. We don't need KRA collecting, and then we need accountability. You cannot tell me that you're going to use billions in campaigning when we should be talking about campaign finance, because then it means then that the kind of caliber of people that we're attracting thugs and wash people, because where do you get that money and how do you intend to repay that money? Okay. So did we have to get here? Unfortunately, Chinua Achebe was right. The center cannot hold. Things have fallen apart.
We'll pick it up in just a bit when we take after this break, but stay with us on NTV Tonight. We still have this conversation ongoing to help you understand the dynamics around the latest developments in the country. Stay with us.
This is NTV.
Kikohozi cha muda wowote, kutokwa na jasho kwa wingi usiku, uchungu kwenye kifua, afya kudhoofika, tafuta matibabu. Labda ni TB, TB ni ugonjwa wa kweli, ukipimwa matibabu yapo utapona. TB waishi poa.
The moment I feel my pain starting to fade, it's like I'm going back to myself on a really good day.
Panadol Extra releases you from strong pain. Panadol, release starts here.
Tired of endless scrolling? Say goodbye to the chaos. Introducing the all-new Business Daily website. Experience seamless navigation. Immerse yourself in a world of more videos and more podcasts. Discover more with our enhanced home pages. Engage like never before with our interactive tools. Join us and elevate your reading experience today. Business Daily. More possibilities.
All the information that you gave the police and the Bureau only led to nothing.
That's not my problem, JC.
You're going to be tried soon.
I'm pretty certain we both know that Leo's part of the syndicate, don't we?
Now that you've signed on as one of his company's incorporators, you have to make sure that his intentions are pure.
Do I really have to attend the board meeting? I don't think I'm needed there anyway.
Why are you here? You're trying to be part of a board meeting, but did you even finish college? The only thing you were successful at was selling your very own son.
Fists of fate. Enjoy up to 100% asset finance, 0 processing fees, and flexible repay options through our trusted partners. Visit any Family Bank branch countrywide to learn more and get started.
Welcome back. Now, Prof, as we talk about the legalities around this, many of us laymen, are still not too clear, just for the avoidance of assumption or doubt. Ideally, the financial year flips over 1st July, If this document that now is meant to be going through some process is not ready by then, are we in a crisis?
No, there's no crisis. Every what do you call it? Every financial bill seeks to raise taxes, additional taxes, because already the law from previous years, all the tax laws, there are already taxes that have to be paid. The law has already said that you'll pay certain taxes. So you'll pay VAT, you'll pay income tax, etc. So there's never a crisis. Usually what the government tries to do is every financial year is to figure out additional ways of raising revenue. So there's not going to be a crisis. There's never going to be a crisis.
That's one of the things the pro-finance bill guys have been saying, that we are going to, the country risk getting into debt default, we are going to be in a crisis of sorts, and that is what has been communicated. Partly
yes, partly no. I mean, if you look at it from the perspective of the country's external debt burden in particular, the IMF has been telling the government that, you have to do certain things.
Yes.
which is where they have, the IMF came up with a policy that is called the medium-term revenue strategy. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yes.
This is the basis of this tax bill that Kenyan citizens hate so much. So it is in the MTRS. The short form is the MTRS. It is in the MTRS that, for example, you find the proposal of the motor vehicle circulation tax. So they've been told, well, you debt is too much. Please try and reduce it. But to reduce it, pay off your debts. But to be able to do that, the government needs more revenue. So it's trying to figure out more ways of raising revenue. But at the same time, the government is being told, reduce your expenditure. And then now, when we come to expenditure in this country, there's so many things that are wrong. So you're asking yourself, for example, and I heard the president speak today. I didn't hear him talk about this, for example. He talked about reducing all manner of expenditure. So now they've said they're not going to buy more vehicles. They're not going to renovate state houses, etc. But there are many positions in this government that you ask yourself, is there an office of the First Lady in our Constitution?
No.
Is there an office of the spouse of the
Deputy President?
Deputy President?
No.
Is there an office of
the spouse
the
of
spouse
the
of
prime,
the Prime Cabinet Secretary?
No.
Do you know how much money we've given those offices? Not just this year alone, but in the financial bill of last year as well. Now it's increased to about, combined, you're talking about 1.5 billion shillings. You ask yourself, why? This is an illegality. Why are we putting our very hard-earned tax money in these unconstitutional offices? Why can't this government have an honest conversation with Kenyans and tell them that, look, we are sorry. We have put your money in the wrong place. Please forgive us. But also, we're going to return this money. Because how do you then tell people, please pay additional taxes when that is how you're using their taxes? It's with a lot of impunity. Nobody wants to listen.
Do you think
and citizens find it is insulting. It is highly insulting, because we work very hard for the money that we get. Kenyans work very, very hard for the money that they get.
Do you think it's a realistic possibility for us to get the point where the taxpayer is going to be refunded all these monies that had been budgeted for those offices, the offices of the three ladies?
But we need to surcharge them. The framework exists in the Constitution to do that. They need to return that money.
Wanjiru?
First of all, I agree with him. And also, there's also the office of the Prime, then there's also the office of the CASs, which is also unconstitutional. Article 2 of the Constitution, all sovereign power belongs to the people. If the people demand it, and that is what we're demanding, if the people demand it and say we're rejecting the finance bill because we know where that money is going, and because we know where that money is going, we can even suggest, in case you are stranded in this thing, in this crisis that you're trying to manufacture, cut down on this expenditure. If we, the people, demand it, because all sovereign power belongs to the people, then I think we should be able to find a way to get them to actually do it. Me, I believe in the people. I am the people. All
right. And I think, speaking of the people and listening to the people, it's something that the Deputy President, and the President as well, alluded to and spoke to today. The President said that, this is what he said, right? He said that they have heard the people, and so they are responding to the people. The Deputy President, not too long after, it was within an hour or so, held his own briefing where he said that he's on record having told the other people in the political and executive and that space of leadership that listen to the ground. And now it seems like you're saying, you didn't listen to me, look what has happened. Then he went on to now load it on Nurdin Haji. What do you make of that whole situation, and the statements that the DP gave?
Okay, first of all, I don't believe anything he says. I don't believe anything the deputy president says. I don't believe anything the president said. Have they lied before? Yes. Are they lying now? Yes. Let's get into what the deputy president said. The president, and you can I stand corrected. He said that the president did not have the intelligence to know and to act accordingly because the NIS did not give him correct information. Yes. The president is usually advised every day by a whole council, which is not only constituted by the NIS. There's a whole list of people that are in that council that advise the president. So for him to come and say that the president is not acting on intelligence, you're telling us on live television as a member of this government that the president is uninformed. Either the president is uninformed or he doesn't know what is going on. How are you running a country without knowing what is going on? So already there, he already places competency questions. He has himself admitted that this is an incompetent government, this is an uninformed government, number one. Number two, what do you mean you're not aware? How many times have we been on the streets? How is this not common sense that the cost of living is already too high? Why do you even need intelligence to tell you that the cost of living is too high? And again, that is why I asked, how dare they act surprised? And then number three, yesterday he did a press conference and and he called us treasonous, criminals. And then today we are young people who, and now we are children.
Sons and daughters.
We are now sons and daughters. And my question to the deputy president is, and it's a question that has been asked even on social media, would you tear gas your sons and daughters? Would you abduct your sons and daughters? Would you send police to go kill people like what is happening in Githurai right now? Would you do that to your sons and daughters? What I'd like to say is that, and I think every Kenyan knows this, that we are dealing with a gaslighting, manipulative, lying government. So anything that comes out of the mouth, we do not believe. What we want to see is an actual accountability. Where is this money gone? Why is this money going here? We want to see social services. We want Linda Mama to be brought back. We want education to be funded again. Those are the things we will believe. But calling us your sons and daughters, we are not your sons and daughters. Some of us are orphans, all right? Some of us have actually lost parents. Some people in this, even within this protest, have lost people, have lost parents. So don't call us your sons and daughters and then you tear gas people and then you kill people, you abduct people, you take away from them the right to a decent life. We are not buying that.
Okay, and all of this is a number of what you're saying, I think you're saying are pretty much, again, subject to the confirmations and the likes.
Yes.
Just for the record.
Yes,
all right?
For the record, yes.
And you've talked about abductions, and we do have a story on abductions. And the government did not fall short of shooting itself in the foot during the ongoing countrywide demonstrations spearheaded by the Gen Zs, as well, and they've said as well as the millennials. They were caught flat-footed by the state-sanctioned abductions carried out in the wee hours of the morning or at night that had become commonplace in a bid to break influential social media users who drew masses. And so far, at least 12 people, bloggers, doctors, parliamentary staff, have been abducted. Here's that story.
The recent wave of abductions seem to have intensified the protests rather than suppressing them. Among those abducted earlier are notable figures such as Ernest Nyerere, Nadia Nthia, Shadrack Kiprono, Dre Mwangi, Kevin Monari, Frank Githaka, Gabriel Oguda, Dr. Austin Omondi, Osama Otero, Billy, known as Crazy Nairobian, and Casmuel Mako, who still remains missing after disappearing during the protests in the Nairobi Central Business District on Tuesday. The individuals believed to have masterminded the hashtag Reject Finance Bill 2024 and hashtag Occupy Parliament movements have reported experiencing torture during the abductions. Many of those who were found appeared visibly shaken, indicating the severe treatment they endured. Some individuals, such as Gabriel Oguda, have been vocal in posting anti-government content, while Billy and Osama have been at the forefront of hosting numerous discussions on X about the Finance Bill 2024. Dr. Austin Omondi, popularly known as Japrado, who rallied medics to offer first aid services to the injured, was also abducted and interrogated. These activists' prominent roles in the protests and their influence on social media have made them key targets for abduction and intimidation. The Law Society of Kenya and the Human Rights Commission have been at the forefront in securing the release of those abducted. Chief Justice Martha Koome has also condemned the abductions, terming them unacceptable. On Tuesday, the killing of the young people witnessed outside Parliament building and in Githurai has left many with more questions than answers, as police rained bullets on peaceful protesters, killing at least 21 and injuring 165 others. Helen Aura, NTV.
Prof, what's your view on these abductions? What does this say to us?
No, first of all, I forgot to mention there's this body called the President's Economic Advisors.
Yes.
I think they are duplicating the work of the National Treasury. It's also a waste of money. They should also give back our money. This is a team that is headed by Devin D. They should also give us back our money. There are many competent experts at the National Treasury that can do that job. I mean, previous regimes worked through the National Treasury. Why are we wasting so much money?
Are we saying there were no economic advisors in previous regimes, to the presidents?
Usually through the ministry.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Abductions?
Abductions. So I think the president missed an opportunity today. And as I was saying, this government has not been having an honest conversation with its citizens. So with the Gen Z protest, for example, the other day when the president was, where was it, in Nyahururu?
In Nyahururu, on Sunday?
Yes.
Sunday, yes, Nyahururu.
He said, we will talk.
To who though?
Yeah, but he's saying, Owela will engage the Gen Z, but the same day you're hearing somebody has been abducted. So you're asking, where is double speak?
Double speak.
You know, so where is the honesty? And surely these are not children. How are they going to believe that the president means well if that is happening? And then today, I think it was a missed opportunity, because you see the president was giving us facts, telling us about the economy, telling us about what his government is trying to do, basically justifying the actions that they've taken. But this was really not an opportunity for the president to justify anything. This was an opportunity for the president to be contrite and to tell the public that, look, I am sorry that this has happened. We have gone wrong in these ways. We have abducted you. We are going to be accountable for it, and this is what is going to happen. If he took that route, there's going to be believability. Because as we speak, there's still individuals that are unaccounted for.
Yeah.
So you see, on the one hand, you have the president not talking about the abduction at all. On the other hand, you have the deputy president admitting that actually we have been abducting people. And then even with respect to the people that died in the protests yesterday, world over you will see presidents that trying to emotionally connect with the populace would say, I acknowledge that so-and-so by name, so-and-so has died, so-and-so has died, and they talk to their families. The president would say that I have talked to their families, I have said on behalf of the government that we are sorry. It needed an emotional moment, not, you know, this is what we are doing for you, and we'll talk to you, but in the meantime, there are people that are still unaccounted for. The president, for example, say that we will ensure that everybody is accounted for, and by this or that time. So for me, a missed opportunity.
And I mean, one of the criticisms that the president received was that yesterday, after all the drama that happened, especially at Parliament, just in light of how significant, you know, the institution is, and you know, the Parliament precincts, he did not offer a message of condolence to those who were bereaved or the likes, and he came out being a bit, came out quite, like you're saying, a bit disconnected, it seemed. I mean, a lot of the criticism that has been put out there is that he was disconnected, and he was more keen on being the firm leader. Wanjiro, what do you make of this in terms of, I'm not just taking it forward.
Yeah.
What lessons should be learned from that, so that we don't find ourselves, and God forbid we are in a situation where another critical facility is taken over or is invaded? What are some of the lessons that need to be learned here in regards to, especially the group of people who are going for these protests are the young ones, who, a number of them at least, who you don't talk at them, you know? They kind of what you make it make sense is a phrase that's used. Yeah.
Okay. Let me say that first of all, we should never have reached the point where we're going to the streets. So whether, and I've said this a lot, whether this bill passes or not, and it might pass because of a few tricks that they're trying to pull on us. Even if the bill passes, the Kenya Kwanza government has not won, because we are on the streets. We're not just rejecting the bill, but we're saying, in fact, we even want you out. We need you to resign. And so there were very many missed opportunities. Addressing Kenyans yesterday was not the correct, was a missed opportunity. He had an opportunity to do that on Sunday. He had an opportunity to address this thing way before we even hit the streets. We should already have been done. So I think don't underestimate the people. And also I think another critical thing, the way they're languaging and the way they're speaking to the people, they're speaking as if we're in a contest, as if the people are fighting the government. It is as if, because he's saying, I conceded. Conceded to what? We're not playing a chess game. We're not in battle. It's people demanding that you do the right thing by them. There's someone who asked, why is the president mad at children for telling him not to steal? What we're saying is we're demanding an accountability. Do not try to call it a concession. We're not conceding. We're not against the government. What we are saying is that we need you need to stop this punitive kind of taxation, because we also deserve decency.
But I mean, in fairness, even in the protests, I was saying they were against the government and its policies.
But what, and its policies, yes.
Yes, so when he says he's conceded, it may end up being, a matter of the terminology, but in principle...
I don't think it's a terminology thing. I think this guy has been in politics for 30 years.
In power, in power terms, it is about who's dominant and who is subservient.
Yes.
And I think many of our so-called members of parliament are still in the old order before the 2010 constitution.
Yeah.
They still seem to think that as MPs, they take the initiative and the citizens follow them. That changed when we passed the Constitution of 2010. Article 1 of that Constitution, the people are sovereign.
Yes.
And they can choose to exercise their sovereignty directly or through representatives. And then the way we have designed the Constitution, there are spaces for direct participation, and there are spaces for participation by representation. What that means in practical terms is that even though we vote, we do not give the government a license to do whatever it wants in the period in the 5-year period in which they exercise power. They seem to forget that, which is what is wrong with, for example, how laws are made in this country. We need to take public participation much more seriously so that it has meaning. When you look at public participation processes in this country, they don't have meaning. Even listening to the president today, he's talking as if, so we made it and then the public participated. That is not what was envisaged in the Constitution. What is envisaged in the Constitution is that we as citizens have a conversation about what we want, not somebody going somewhere, drafting something and coming to us and telling us that, oh, I've come up with This is a ridiculous idea of the motor vehicle circulation tax, and you have to react to it, seeing us as equal. But you see, as soon as you call somebody mheshimiwa, they think that you're overload.
But you see, and that was where when I began speaking, it's not just the flashy, the opulence. If you looked at the many messages that Kenyans were sending to the members of parliament, there was an air of, what do you think you're going to do to me? I'm going to vote according to my party, because it's the party that allowed me to be, and forgetting that, one, we pay you with our taxes, and two, we voted you in to represent the people. You're a representative. This country does not belong to you. And even the language of the shareholders, the language of we are the ones who are saying, and you're the ones who are going to listen to us. So when he says he concedes, I think he's looking at it as a contest and that he has to win. But we're not in a contest. This is our lives. This is our literal lives. We're not, this is do or die, because we either have a decade where we can prosper or we don't. And so when he says things like, I concede, okay, fine. So let us say that he has conceded and that maybe it was, but conceded to what? He has done this thing of the bill where you have, I mean, we are not seeing anywhere where the bill is going to go, because he can decide to blue tick, like Parliament can decide to blue tick the reservations. If he reserves the whole bill, then nothing happens after 14 days and then the thing becomes law. So what are you conceding exactly? So he knows exactly what is it. At the end of the day, he must win. And this is not a win or lose situation. This is our country we're talking about. And so we really hope that Kenya wins. We hope that Kenya wins. We've been had, which is, you know, half of the win, that now they are afraid of the people. You know, and they should be afraid of the people. It's good to acknowledge the little wins, no? It's good to acknowledge the little wins, but should this bill pass, and it might pass, then we still have... In the form it is now. In the form, because he has not made... It's already a bill. I think it is already a bill. I think it is already an act, though, because they are going on recess. It's not an act. It's not an act yet. It's not an act yet. But it's on its... I mean... But it is as good as passed. So just for clarity, I think we mentioned as we come... In legal terms, we say that Parliament is functus officio. Its work is done. And in English? Its work is done. Its work is done. Its work is done. And so just as we come to a close, because we need to close this, Prof, just for the... I know you'd mentioned it, I think it's still one of the biggest take-homes from today's events, right? If the president... whatever he has taken back to Parliament, you know, what do you think in a realistic way would be a timeline that would actually help us to stay, like you said, within the law? Like you said, time is not the problem, it's the legality. Because I think the concern is everyone is waiting to see a finance bill that everyone is happy with now becoming a finance act. Will it have to go through, like you're saying, a whole, because if he's rejected it in its entirety, do we have to go through the whole process again? You know, I'm struggling to see how you salvage the situation, because it's already a law. You cannot, if you're amending something, something will be left. You can't remove everything in a document and then call it an amendment. An amendment. It sounds to me like a mutilation. So what is left? I mean, you can't call it. You cannot call that an amendment. So I think they have a problem. Perhaps the only thing that they can do is saying that we are not going to enforce this law. That is the choice they have. But it seems to me that the stage at which it is at, it is difficult to amend it by deleting everything. It just doesn't make sense conceptually from my perspective as a lawyer. I don't see how it makes sense. Maybe somebody can make it make sense for me, but I just don't see it. All right. So to repeat, I think the only way would be to say that, look, because like I said, you know, the world is not going to come to an end if they say that we are not going to apply these, we are not going to enforce this law. So it's an option. Although again, there I see their challenges, but that's a story for another day. All right, so Wanjiru, just very briefly, okay. with your passion, you know, a closing remark in regards to what you see the state of the nation is in light of the developments today. A closing remark? Yes. Very brief. Very brief. Okay. A closing remark is that we the people matter. Yeah. And I want to remind Kenyans that we are deserving of the highest standard of care, institutionally and structurally. And never let them tell you that you don't deserve it. Also never let them tell you that it cannot be done. We deserve it, and I don't think we should rest until we have a country where we can say, okay, we are proud to be in this country. My closing remark is we are deserving of care. We deserve care institutionally and structurally. We do. And we deserve a human affirming government, a life affirming government. What we have now is not human affirming, it's not life affirming. They're killing us. Kenyans deserve a life and a human affirming government.
Right. Thank you. Prof, the same thing.
As in my career as an academic, I have fought for democratic governance. That people participate meaningfully in the things that affect their livelihoods and liberties, and that government is accountable to them, and that we have the rule of law, by which I mean that everyone has a chance. Finally, I am beginning to see that this will happen in Kenya. So the changes that the awakening that I'm seeing among the Gen Z in particular has given me a lot of hope. Finally, the things that I've been talking about for it seems eons, a very long time, are beginning to make sense to some citizens, who are also embracing them. So in terms of values, I see change coming, and it's beautiful to watch.
We were alive when it happened.
Yes.
It is.
And we participated.
It is beautiful.
And we participated. And then another thing I wanted to add is that people don't just wake up in thousands and go on the streets. There's a lot of work that goes into that. And sometimes I know that the protests have been looked at as a Gen Z thing, which is fantastic because they are on the streets. But then a lot of work has gone into it. There's been a lot of social building by activists, by feminists, by educators, by people who agitated. We're talking about like the Sabasaba movement, like all of that has contributed to this. And so I hope that no one feels left out of this moment and feel like some wind has been taken away from them. It has taken the chipping away. It has taken someone standing up by himself to a president. It has taken, the social justice movements applying pressure all the time and always standing on business. And so we want to say that even if it is being called a Gen Z protest, this is a Kenyan protest because it has taken long to get here. A lot of mobilization, a lot of education, and a lot of that will still continue because we still need to continue doing a lot of political education to sustain this to the point where he's talking about and to the point where we actually have a life-affirming government. So it's not just a Gen Z protest, it is a Kenyan protest, and it has taken a lot of work to get here. So I would also want to encourage anyone who's working towards a better country, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, because and I agree in terms of the Gen Z, no one can take away from them what they've done. However, it got to a point it became beyond them.
Yes.
You could see, and people have been saying, I'm not a Gen Z, I'm a millennial, but I'm on the streets fighting for my kids or for my right for a future, etc. And so it has grown beyond Gen Z, much as they still hold a critical role.
And it began before Gen Z.
Yes.
It's just that now we are now on the, it's like when you're trying to light a fire, you light and light and light and light, and then suddenly it explodes.
Every generation has its battle.
Counts, yes.
All right. Yes. Thank you very much, Professor Migaya Ketch and Wanjiru Ngohi for joining us in studio tonight, giving us your thoughts on and views on this, their views. And they're both lawyers, so they have the context of the law, just giving us insight into what has happened today. The pickle that the government is seemingly finding itself in regards to the Finance Bill 2024, after the president said that he has reservations on the contents of the bill in its entirety, and therefore he declined to assent to it and referred the bill for reconsideration by the National Assembly with the recommendation for the deletion of all the clauses thereof. Thank you for joining us on NTV tonight. My name is Dan Mwangi alongside Flora Atieno on the signed language interpretation. Have yourselves a great night. Stay safe. God bless.